Take a look at this video.
Ahead to Prince Ali. They don't have numbers. That's the wrong guy to pass it to in that situation. And they turn it over.
Oh, my God.
That's kind of the story of
this. Great job by Jalen Hands. Come over there, take his throat, and just push his head back up in the air. Let's go. Come on.
Wasn't that an awesome job? I mean, whether you like sports or not, you got to be blessed to see Jalen Hands, especially the little guy, coming up to his big guy and lifting up his head, saying, don't be down. Keep your head up, even in the midst of difficulty. And, you know, right away I think of Psalms chapter 3, verse 4, where David says this. He says, Lord my God, you are a shield around me. You are my glory and the one who lifts my head high. But God is the glory and the lifter of our head. God is the one who enables us to trade in our sorrows for joy, to trade in our mourning for dancing, to trade in our shame for honor, to trade in our grief for glory. What this statement reminds us of is this, is that God called us. It reminds us that although, yes, for someone to be saved, the Bible tells us we must call upon the name of the Lord, but this reminds us that before I ever called on the name of the Lord, He called me. But if you are born again through faith in Jesus Christ, you're not only chosen of God, but you also have the Spirit in your life. The Spirit is in your life, and that is the greatest gift that you could ever have. In the Old Testament, the prophets had this hope. The great hope of the Old Testament prophets was that one day the glory of God would return to His people as the Spirit of God, the presence of God, returned to His people. And so in the prophets, Jeremiah, Ezekiel talk about that day that's going to come when God's Spirit is going to return, and guess what's going to be different? He's not going to return, the Spirit of God or the presence of God won't return to the temple. The presence of God is going to return and reside in the lives of every single one of God's people, every single one of you. God has called us to not only keep our heads up, but we have to go and we have to lift up the heads of others. Just like in the video, Jalen Hands lifted up his teammate's head. We're like teammates. We've got to lift our head up, but then we've got to go and we have to try to lift our brother and our sister's head up. In Thessalonians, we see that happening all over in Paul's letters. He himself, Paul, is constantly saying things in these letters to lift up the heads of these Christians in the city of Thessalonica. So Paul is a head lifter. And not only that, but Paul talks in his letters about sending Timothy to them for the express purpose that Timothy might strengthen and encourage them. So Timothy was sent that he might be a head lifter. And then Paul writes and talks to the Christians and says, you need to encourage one another. He repeats this in his letters, that you need to encourage one another. In other words, you all need to be head lifters.